Everybody, I'd like to call the meeting to order on Monday, January 6th, 2025, 6 p.m. at the town hall upstairs. Somebody make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So
Second.
Discussion. If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have 2 minutes to move tonight. First one is the minutes of the capital budget public hearing on December 16, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes that were presented? If not, can we make a motion to accept those minutes? Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay, the second set of minutes is the regular meeting on December 16, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes as presented? If not, somebody make a motion to accept. So move.
Second.
If there's no discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Okay. I will report.
Not very much this time, not pretty much just plowing, sanding, you know, these little storms every morning, so. We're done to parking maintenance. And that's about it, as right now. Not much excitement.
Did you follow up on the repairs if?
With the trailer.
Okay.
Yeah, I brought it to Osgood's, last Friday after. And, they are supposed to give me a price, and he said he's gonna write it up and then, call me and let me know,
So
so.
it's repairable.
Yeah, the trailer's fixable, but, I haven't heard back from him yet, but.
Thank you for doing that.
Anybody else, have anything on the highway? No. Kim, do you have anything?
Yeah, I gave everybody the quarterly, so you had a chance to look them over, if you have any questions, but. A couple of dates to remember, tax date is coming February 15th. I let you know that I heard from Ashley Finger, our animal control officer. And she has picked 2 Saturdays to hold another rabies clinic this year. And Saturday, February 15th and Saturday, March 15th, from 10 to 12 here at the town office. Her and the vet will be here to administer rabies shots to the residents of Grafton. And the dog can have a rabies due date anywhere from January 1st to December 31st of 2025. So there's nothing saying that if one is due in 3 months, you know, that they can't get it, because they still have 3 more months left, you can get it anytime within that year. And the whole thing is being sponsored by the Grafton Improvement Association, so they will fully pay for the rabies shot itself. We're just asking that once they come in for their rabies shot, then they can come in and visit me in my office, and we'll sell them their license at the same time. And I'm putting on the, asked Morgan to put on the website, there's a $2 increase that the state is imposing on all dog owners for their license. So typically it's $9 for a spayed or neutered dog, it will be now $11. Town is not approving the $2, it's going directly to the state. If it is a spayed or neutered, if it is not spayed or not neutered, then we're looking at a $15 charge rather than a $13. So that'll be the, I'll add it to the Grafton News the 1st of February, it's on the website, I was just aware of it after the Grafton News went out.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Do you know the cost of the rabies? Like,
It's gonna be $25.
okay,
Last year was $20 each. I believe that was the price of it, and they're now $25.
I'll just mention that GIA also sponsored it last year. And Yeah, Ashley said that Grafton was one of they provided more than other towns that she served.
Right.
So it was a really good success.
She was hoping that other towns would pick up on the same ideas as GIA and someone would sponsor their rabies clinic, but no one did. I'm hoping a better turnout, I think we probably did maybe 20 or 22 last year. Hoping that we get more this year being on a Saturday. So 2 Saturdays from 10 to 12, I think that would be helpful.
So you have to have an appointment? You have to call, like, what time to bring them in?
Nope, and we're open 10 to 12, so you may have to wait a minute or two, as long as you're ready to go, but no appointment necessary. You just need to make sure you bring. If you're a Grafton resident, I have all the rabies certificates already on file. If you're a new dog, then yes, you would need to bring, or new to the new resident, you would need to bring your rabies certificate. To show that you've already had a rabies. If you don't bring one, they can only give you a 1-year shot. If you bring it, they can give you a 3-year shot. Same as a normal vet. The other thing, audit has been completed, management letters have been looked at. I have signed a representative letter that, Michelle and I are treasurer and assistant treasurer, stating that the audit went fine. And I'll have, 8 hard copies coming relatively soon, I'm hoping by the end of next week. Once we get the hard copies, there's enough copies for everybody of the board to have one. It'll be available electronically online also once I get it. So you can, look at it on the website also. And, at that point, once we get the hard copies, we'll probably invite someone from Sullivan Powers to, give a presentation to go over the audit. Overall, the audit, I mean, I didn't see any big changes, other than there was a slight deficit, you'll notice, and they'll go over that at like 25,000. But it's also noted within the audit that there was the flood and the expense that we put out in the flood. The amount that we've gotten in from the flood and what we expect to get more from the flood. Which weighs heavily on why we have a $25,000 deficit. Overall, it was relatively good, I think. Town reports, I'm almost done putting them together. I have a few more reports left to come in. I'm hoping I can get them off to the printer by the 3rd week of January. Maybe the last week, so I can have them back here by the 1st of February. Or the 1st week of February. I always shoot for that day so that anybody that comes in to pay their taxes, I can actually give them a gift and give them their book. An expensive book. January 16th is all petitions are due for anybody that wants to put an article in our warning of the town report. So any humanitarian, they're asking for a different amount of money. January 16th, they need to request that in a petition. Petition needs to be signed by 25 people, or 5% of the population of the voter checklist. January 27th is the due date for any petitions running for office. So, and that is 1%, so we would need 5 signatures for anybody running for office. That will also be on the website, those dates. I think you were mentioning. That's it.
Anybody have any questions for Ken? Okay. Committee reports, personnel, do you have anything?
No.
Okay, we have the bids for the COVID number 24. I want to try to explain this and Morgan can help me. We had 10 bids that came in. 2 of the bids did not follow the instructions, so the bids were not the same as the other 8. We sent off the bids to the state. And the state recommended that we should not accept those bids because those bids didn't conform to the procedure that everybody else did. And FEMA, this is a FEMA project. FEMA does not look kindly, because they'll look at all the bids, that a bid didn't express the requirements that we asked it to do. So, that is an issue that we have to decide how we want to handle. There's one contractor, and I won't mention their names, that the state cautioned us not to hire.
Joe, would you just speak up a little bit, please?
There's one contractor that the state cautioned us not to hire. I don't want to mention any names, for it's not proper, but that's what Scott Jensen then told the board. So, so the next lowest bid, if I remember correctly, I think, remember, is what, Jamie Gregory's, I think? Well, talk about the two bids that were not correct.
So in the original spec sheet, the request for proposals, it was sent out multiple times to the contractors, and we also had a site visit, a mandatory site visit before the bids were due. Within the spec sheet, it required that traffic control, mobilization, demobilization, and a line about ledge removal be included, like broken out from the lump sum bid. That said, Fitzpatrick Excavating and Trucking, their bid of $210,000. As well as Amity Construction with a lump sum bid of $225,000. Those are the two contractors that essentially did not follow what was in the specification sheet. The next lowest bidder was Jamie Gregory, and his is broken out. And his total bid was at $233,600.
So,
I'll just add to it, I sent all of these bids. Absolutely everything that was submitted to Megan Brunk at V-Trans, as well as Scott Jensen to get their thoughts. Because both of those individuals had helped me through the whole process. And Megan said we essentially have two options. The select board could award the lowest bidder. Or keeping in mind that they have incomplete bids. Or could eliminate Fitzpatrick and Amity because the bids were incomplete and go with the next lowest bidder. So that's all I really have to update on. Yeah.
So, just to clarify, see, it said that the select board could in fact award it to a low bidder that had an incomplete.
Yeah,
Spec?
she said it's not, I mean, she wouldn't recommend that option,
Right.
but the select board does have the option to
Oh,
do
okay.
that.
Okay.
yeah, I think it sets a precedent if you accept the bid that is not, it didn't conform. Because everybody was given the same instructions, they all had the same opportunity, a site visit and whatever. And if you didn't follow the instructions, then obviously, it's, it's not the same as the bid as everybody else. Wendy?
Could you remind us what the high bid was and what the low bid, because I don't have it.
Yeah.
The high was.
Like five something. Like 45.
I have to hear who.
So my question would be, is there a reason, I mean, I'm not familiar with all of this like you guys are, but why would there be such a big discrepancy between bids like that? If everybody got the same information, why such a big difference, I guess?
I have a hard time answering that, because I feel like I haven't been involved in enough of them, but I think probably cost of the box culvert itself is gonna differ based on where it's coming from. don't know, Colby, do you have anything to add, why they might be so different?
It was 544, what's the,
And it's like usually, because that's happened before, I mean, sorry, I don't think that. It's huge, it's done, but
It is a big difference.
it's huge.
I don't know, I can't speak on it, I feel like I
No,
haven't.
I'm not totally qualified on it. Some of the contractors come from a longer distance, so that might be one reason, the mobility, getting over here, driving back and forth and some, but I don't know, so it's
The most expensive bid was at $534,000. And the lowest being about 210.
it does seem on that really high one, they listed as administrator, which is everything other than the mobilization and traffic and stuff, that was the big difference.
Yeah.
That was a huge lump sum, the traffic and, I'm doing it quickly, but those seem a little bit more in line, it was there, everybody had a big, amount to do it, and then the add-ons, the ledge and the other stuff are sort of in line, that one was sort of very high.
So personnel, is that what you're saying?
I don't know, they call it administrator, or everybody else, that it doesn't sound like.
Maybe it's like administrator?
It's the only other sum on that bid,
Oh, no, it said the
it's,
price to complete box culvert according to plans and addenda and notes sent out by town engineer.
oh, there it is, sorry, you're right, so
So
499,000.
their lump?
Yeah.
Their lump sum was really big.
Why are we all of a sudden adding ledge product, like a ledge price into it, after we've never added it in before?
That was a provision that, because I worked with Megan Brunk so closely on that, and she's through V-Trans. She's the one that recommended we add that provision in there.
What about the traffic control? We never used to do that either.
I mean, it was a recommendation from the
I
state that we
just,
sent
this,
it.
this question.
No, it's a good question, I'm glad you asked.
Does that mean going forward, or you will be doing it too? I mean,
I think we should.
I mean, we took the recommendation from the state and added them to our specs.
But traffic control would be closing the road then.
Two times.
I don't know, I mean, everybody did on the same spec, so whether it's traffic control, whether you close the road or you had flaggers, I don't know.
Well, on that, the one before that, they closed the road, so there wouldn't be no traffic control, so. I guess you wouldn't have put that, you shouldn't have put that in the bid, I guess, is what I'm saying.
But that was the state's recommendation.
It was, and to answer your question, you're right, it would probably be 2 signs. And their time to put those out and notify the town, but it's so small in the grand scheme of things.
Also, both of the lower contractors left out, stuff out of their specs.
Correct.
Yeah, Amazon didn't put anything in.
It seems like an awful lot of hoops for them to jump through for. I mean, if we go with, I don't care who we go with, I mean, it's not my decision, but. Same time, all these other contractors that did win. I guarantee you that none of them will put in again for another job. They did technically win in price. And if Megan says that we can go with it, then why spend an extra $20,000 to get the same job done? I mean, both companies that all won the bids technically are been in business for a long, long time. I mean, do you guys really honestly think they do bad work? I mean,
I don't think that's in question.
well, that's what Scott Jensen apparently.
You just said,
There was one contractor the state would not recommend, that's all I can.
that's not one of the ones that,
I'd rather not say.
I'm with Joe on that. Oh, that makes sense.
Well, then you wouldn't be saying that, but, you know.
Yes, me. Can I just ask a question, are we, for the proposals that were low, and that just put one number, do we know whether or not they've included all the other stuff? Is that gonna be suddenly an add-on when
Did
they
anyone ask
read the
them?
directions? I don't know.
Well,
But it's a bid.
and in the bids,
It says in the bid, you're supposed to say so.
but it does, for the ones that were eliminated, it didn't. But for the
They don't
ones
say,
that
you're right.
were accepted, the 8 remaining. The
Correct.
mobilization and the
Right.
are included.
So that's what I was saying, if we just
And
go,
the-
right, if we go to the lowest, just say we decide, it doesn't matter. Look at this bid with just one number. How can we be sure that all the scope of work is being done? The others have said the scope of work is being done. And I think that's important.
While we're on the topic of the scope of work, this may have been handled previously and I just missed it, so. But in the bid letter, in the invitation to bid that was issued on November 18th, it says the size of the concrete box culvert should be 14 feet by 7 feet by 52 inches. Most of the bids are for a culvert of a different size. And they say that specifically. So 12 by 7 by 52. So the question becomes, what are we actually, what are they bidding on? Because Jamie's bid is very clear on that. He's bidding on the specs as stated, is he says, I'm, the culvert for the specs sent to me dated November 18th. On November 18th, the spec said 14 by 7 by 52. So it so happens that we have bids in the same set with different size culvert boxes. So was that straightened out somewhere in between? Could you just explain that so it appears in the minutes?
Sure.
I think that's pretty obvious to people who read these
Mhm.
as of now.
Yeah, that came about, because after talking with Scott Jensen and looking at the culvert that was replaced just down the road from the one in question, it did not make sense to have a 14-foot culvert go in there. So the change came after the original specs were sent out, but before we had our pre-bid meeting, the mandatory meeting. After the mandatory meeting, there were a list of question and answers as well as an updated spec sheet that got sent out. And I probably didn't publish it on the website. But I did clearly send it to all of the contractors that were at the pre-bid meeting.
So all the contractors knew the change.
Correct, so they were to be bidding on a 12 by 7 by 52.
Okay.
And that was clear throughout.
So can we be confident that Jamie's bid was for the 12-foot and he didn't have to bid on a higher price product with a 14-foot, even though his bid says November 18th?
I can say that he was at the pre-bid meeting and he received all of the documents,
Okay,
but I have not spoken to him.
Okay, okay, it makes sense if he was there that he found that out, so that the bids are comparable with each other. Is that right, Mark?
Yes,
I do think that Wendy raises a very good question, you know, if you were gonna buy a house for 220,000 or 499,000, there would be differences. And you can afford one and you might not be able to afford the other. So it's really not clear in some respects what we're buying. But I think that's just the situation we find ourselves in.
Well, it sounds like to me that you got 3 bids with the wrong specs on them. But at least bidding on a 14 wide culvert instead of 12 foot.
It sounds like from
You got
what,
one contractor that didn't include the ledge. And the other one, I'm not sure if they didn't include the ledge, or they just do crappy work, I'm not sure which it is.
It's unclear.
actually review, his job is to review these And each of the select board, you can't have other process.
I review all of them and send them to Megan and Scott, but they're also available for the select board to review. Colby also reviewed them with me.
So is it my understanding that Jamie been on the short of the small one? Not the larger one? Is that what you're saying?
All I have is the bid that he submitted, which as Suzanne stated, was, it says right in his bid. For the spec sent to me by the town of Grafton's town administrator, Morgan Wilbur, dated November 18th.
So is that the 12 and 14, do you know?
So
The
we,
specs for that were the 14th.
so if we have 3 bids that are, none of them are accurate, then why would we spend the extra money on them?
Or at least, it'd be nice, maybe even cheaper if you could have been on both, of like COVID, so.
Or we could call,
And that's the point, if you've been on a more expensive culvert, then his price might have been lower. The fact is that I think it's perfectly legitimate for the town to throw out bids that do not follow the instruction. You have to have a sorting process, and you have to have a supplier who's going to follow the process and follow the rules. The same rules apply to every bidder. What concerns me much more than that is why are these bids such a discrepancy in price? Is it the quality of the material? Is it the labor? And it doesn't seem to be that big a difference in the mobilization and traffic. It's really in the lump sum price. But I think maybe what we can just rest on is FEMA, right? If they looked over these bids.
Well, I think it sets a precedent, though, if you accept the bid, it doesn't conform. Then what happens for the next time we bid it out? And I think you also have to be mindful here that this is a FEMA project, this is not a local project. So FEMA is gonna be all over this, they're gonna be paying for it, they're gonna be the ones that are going to make sure that everything is, every I and dot is done. So it's, I think I personally, my personal view is I think you have to respect the bidders who bid on the correct procedure rather than the other ones who didn't. And they might be do good work and might be everything, but I think it's does set a precedent.
who's the next one above Jamie?
Why the prices are so high and so different, I don't have any idea.
1 second.
There's one here, Blue Mountains, 304. Wait for the next one.
Hunter.
Oh,
Do they have their mobilization and that price in there?
Do you
Then
want
technically
to
they would be,
know the price that they bid it at?
yeah, the next one, $115.
$100,000.
I mean, if you're gonna go with the spec, it has to be by all specs. Then how can we go by one that's wrong size culvert? And that's kind of a big wrong step there, don't you think?
we're not clear.
It's not clear whether we use the wrong size.
Yeah, we're not clear.
Well, I mean, in the bid sheet, it says that he's going for 14 foot.
No, they didn't.
No, it doesn't.
It
Didn't say
Isn't
that.
that what it does?
I think the estimate just said 14-1.
No, it just said as per the date of the November 18th, whatever that one was. It's correct.
So he has bid done before,
It does say,
that doesn't make much sense.
And it did not include your bid.
no, if you look,
All of the contractors were notified at the pre-bid meeting, which was a week before bids were due. After the pre-bid meeting, there was updated engineering plans and spec sheets that were sent out to all 10. So none of them submitted a bid before the change happened.
and to that, for example, Daniel's Construction, we're not another company. They say we propose to replace the existing culvert with the 12-foot, the new numbers. For the town's invitation to bid dated November 18th. 2024. So while it says the invitation to bid that date, they have put in the correct amount, so I think it'd be hard to assume that the other Jamie Gregory's bid, even though the date is November 18th, is the wrong culvert size. It could be the right, it could be the wrong. I think you should clarify.
If you're gonna give him a call, you should call him and clarify, and you
I think so.
call him, and you should call the other three and clarify.
Well, when it's the price of the bid.
Yeah.
It might.
It's the same date.
And
delivery.
can I just say, I love Jamie Pieces, Bowser Environmental, he does a great job. But if it were Jamie Gregory, would we be having this conversation, saying we need to check with him, we need to do this and that. That's a really present, I think, it's not, it is not.
Pretty sure this Jamie knew this 12-foot culvert, and probably just a typing mistake or whatever, but. The ledge issue with the other contractor is the same situation. My point is, either you gotta figure out one, you gotta figure out the other one. You can't just pick one because it's got, throw some out because they have issues with it, their bid, and the other one's not. That's what I don't understand. Send them all an email, clarify, I guess.
Yeah, well,
But that would, I mean, that's not, doesn't seem unreasonable. But is it the? I don't know.
Perhaps you could say that, well, no. Yeah,
Or just pick one you want. Just let you do what you want, so.
The two that were disqualified is that they did not have the flaggers. Were they specific on that?
Oh, it's not like.
They can have them.
They didn't.
itemized line removal.
They didn't itemize the localization and how.
What were your questions? You had the other things.
I was curious on the two that were disqualified from FEMA, what were they disqualified for specifically? It was flaggers and the ledge.
Traffic, ledge, and
Immobilized.
mobilization.
Well, I'm a little confused on the traffic thing, because the town with the bid shouldn't have had that in a way, because the road would have been closed, so I don't know, they should have just said. The road, you guys will be closing the road down.
But it doesn't make any difference, whether you need the flaggers or not, they didn't provide,
They asked for it.
that's the issue. But they didn't follow instructions.
Yes.
Well, there is no flaggers. There is no traffic control, so.
Similar
Oh,
to
it's
the
setting the limits.
mobilization and demobilization or the Belleville meeting specifically,
No,
they were also absent.
that's it. They're all.
So it's just the standard format.
Yeah, so everybody can hear that, on the Bill Road culvert and the other culvert we did, this was standard bid, the same thing, traffic control, ledge and mobilization, so this is not a new format of bids, this is where we've bid the other culverts in the past. Question is, they didn't answer all the questions, which they should have.
It's pretty clear in the bid that they have to provide a lump sum price. The traffic and mobilization and the center. I don't see how anyone could read this bid and not come to that conclusion.
So that we can avoid this next time, when I was talking to Megan from V-Trans, she suggested to me that we do a bid sheet next time, so have like an example of what we need to see, so that it's even more clear rather than just the language in the
Right.
specs.
Yeah.
Going forward.
But the question is, we have 10 bids and we need to move on the project, so what does the board want to do? If you accept the lowest bid, then that's one option. Or you take the other two and throw them out and then accept the next lowest bid.
So there's something wrong with the lowest bid. You tell us what's wrong with the lowest bid, two things wrong
The two lowest bids.
with two lowest bids.
Fitzpatrick did not separate out mobilization, demobilization, and traffic control. Amidon Construction did not separate out mobilization, demobilization, traffic control, or ledge.
They're not the same bids, that's, whether it's important or not, they still would follow the same instruction.
Well, that's the rule, that's a rule, and throw them out.
And the ledge is a big thing, because if you hit it, you go and you want to add an extra top.
You got that right.
Estimate on how long, so they only build it one tall. And then
We required that it be done within the 2025 working season, which is before, I believe it's October 15th.
Yes.
Yeah, and then Cassie, there's certain regulations, you can't go in the stream for a certain time, and you
And,
you're not gonna do this if it's in the spring, you got rushing water, and there's
and
there's some parameters.
So
we
they.
require that the road can't be closed for more than 10 working days. So 2 weeks at a time.
if they don't.
So it would be sometime in the summer. And they can't have the road closed for more than 10 days.
I mean,
We don't know them the one.
No, the one.
Size of this culvert, is it a 2-day job, a 3-day job?
I don't know.
well, what did it take there, it was like 4 or 5 days on the other.
I was gonna say, we.
Well, we,
Yeah, and you gotta remember, Cassie, they have to, in order to do that, they have to take the old culvert out. The water doesn't stop, so they gotta pump the water while they're doing putting the new box culvert in. And you can't do that in the spring, when you got,
And this one's not so bad, because you gotta wait in and out. They might be a little bit longer for some of them, but. It's just part of the course for.
It's not that bad, it's 12 minutes one way, and 6 minutes the other way.
Yeah.
and was it the summer of 2023? The culvert just below was done,
Yeah.
and that road, the road was also closed.
right, this will be the third culvert, I think. Did on that, recently went out part of it.
You're probably right. I was only involved in this
I
too.
think this is the third, I think this is the last of the bad culverts, I'm gonna look at that.
Did you hear it?
One more.
One more, just before your place, where Matt had landed.
Right.
I just can't believe how expensive to put a culvert in.
Yeah.
And a wide range of.
It's not a culvert, Kathy, it's a bog.
Concrete floor.
But it's
Still
it's a lot more.
Well, you shouldn't have to do anything with them for a long.
Yeah, once it's in, it's in.
I mean, if you would, I mean, I saw them put in a couple of them. You just don't dig a hole and put this thing in there, it's a very complicated process. They gotta be exact, and the state is on you, is supervising you at the same time and everything else, so. And you gotta have a crane or some kind of thing to lift it in, and you gotta transport the culvert from wherever it's made to here. So, it's a long process.
Morgan, I just wanna thank you for including all the bids with your agenda today. It really helped to understand that it's more than twice the lowest bid is the highest bid. It's really, the discrepancy is dramatic. It's nice for all of us to see that. I appreciate that.
Joe,
Yes,
one other thought, and that's the sidebar that I had with Russell. It came to, I mean, Russell's actually said it, so the 2 bids that could possibly be thrown out only have the lump sum number. The decision the board is about to make is on the total. In other words, the sum of the lump sum number, the mobilization and traffic control, and the ledge. So unless you throw those 2 bids out, you're not using comparable numbers
So I
to
think-
compare. You're not using comparable numbers to compare, that did not make sense.
no,
So the ledge and the traffic control is beyond the lump sum number?
Correct.
Yes.
So what is, what do I wanna make a motion? Move on.
I think we should make a motion to award the over to Amy Gregory. It just seems to make sense.
Do we have a second to that?
So if we bid on his bid. He's got the not correct over.
We don't know this.
We don't know, unless we find it.
I'm trying to find the, addendum that I had sent. Because I think, like, in the minutes, for example, when I write draft, I think I just wrote corrected and kept the date the same. So apologies, it's not jumping out at me. But I'm working.
Well,
So the bid could be less.
it could be less.
So if we accept it, then we're locked into it.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did bring that.
Okay, so the corrected bid, I corrected the size of the culvert and highlighted it. But the date of the document stayed November 18th. So any changes that I made on this document, I highlighted and put corrected on the document. I also sent it through email to all of the contractors and reiterated what I had done differently in the first spec sheet with the second.
Is this document something a bidder would have to sign?
No, they just had to receive it.
Follow it and just do that.
Did you ever send out emails to the request?
I'm sorry.
They sent emails out with a request that they
I
received
do,
it.
yeah, and all of them did receive it.
No, we didn't get any answers back, any corrected lower bid.
No, because no bids were asked
hasn't been
before
done,
the
yeah.
correction.
We do have a motion on the floor, we need a second.
I'd second it. I did.
Sure. Move this button? Anybody?
So what would the price end up being? If he's doing the 14, it should be a 12.
233,600.
No, they
Oh,
found it.
so you found it.
The corrected version went out.
But so November 18th was both papers.
Correct.
Either,
The same day, sir?
No,
So how could it be the same day?
the document itself
She never corrected.
was dated November 18th. I corrected the size of the culvert, highlighted it, and didn't even touch the date, but I sent it out after. Does that make sense?
So they
Yeah.
received that corrected version,
With the old
and they
date on
bid
it.
on that corrected
Yeah.
version.
It was I should have.
So he's fine no matter which date he picks, because it's the only date, no matter which one he's going with. Is what you're saying.
This was the last one that you saw.
You're assuming.
It's the last
In
one.
hindsight, I should have changed the date,
Yeah.
100%.
Well,
But
yeah,
I did,
that's what I'm saying, so he could just say the 18th and he's golden either way.
I know. Not ideal.
so either he bid on a 14Y or he wrote down the wrong size.
He didn't write down.
He did write that sent by me.
Oh, okay, so it's not written on there.
No.
His bid does not include a size.
So can the motion say no with the 12?
I think it should.
We don't pay the 14.
Basically.
Yeah, you 14 and you get the same price.
Would you mind
Michael,
restarting the motion, that the motion to award the Jamie Gregory with the COVID size being whatever the.
I'd like to make a motion, to award the bid to Jamie Gregory for the 12 foot by 7 foot by.
52.
Is that okay, Anna?
Yeah, no, yeah, I was.
No, is that okay, your second still?
Oh, yes, I see what you're saying. Yes, I would second that. But can I ask a question? Sure. I'm hearing what you're saying. Because the bids are in and it's a done deal, we can't go back and say, did you mean the 14th?
No.
Gotcha, just wanted to clarify. So I'll second it.
And I think like Martin said, the next time the bid goes out, it would be better to have it more clear for every contractor have a spreadsheet, you can fill this out.
Right, I agree.
And then it'd be more clear, and it wouldn't be so much commotion about everything.
Exactly, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think for the next bid also, there should be some analysis. Somebody needs to take the responsibility, and I don't think it should be Morgan, it should be somebody who really knows something about culverts and has that responsibility on the select board or on the highway department to figure out why there might be these discrepancies in the,
Well, the state sets the.
and the state
size.
can help us with that.
Well, the state sets the size. I mean, they tell you what size it's called.
Yeah, they do it, they
No,
do
no,
it.
no, I'm
Stretch
sure
goes,
it's
talking
the
about the
size.
price,
Oh, right.
The price,
it's probably just overhead there.
Joe told me.
Yeah,
So, this is, you guys are making decisions, so it doesn't really matter, but. With the whole ledge price, who's the one that actually goes and, like, is, someone gonna go look at the ledge and make sure that it's over 10 cubic yards before. They just send us a bill saying that they hit more than 10 cubic yards?
At the pre-bid meeting, we talked about that a little bit, and so if they hit more than 10, they notify us and the
Well, I think
town.
before, as soon as they hit ledge, they should notify us before they even touch it. Hit it, call us, because that just seems like a way that, I mean, I'm not saying he would. Or any of the contractors would, but you never, I mean, who the hell knows if it's 10 yards, if they already jackhammered it out and it's like, hey, it's in the truck.
That's a good point.
but I think the state is there too, isn't it, when they?
You can't trust them either.
Well,
Well, the state's not usually there.
I'll be there most of, I'll be off and on there.
Well, I think it says in the bid, the town's supposed to do.
But we can, depending, the motion, if the motion passes after a vote to hire Jamie, we can communicate with him that if
Yeah,
he hits ledge, we should just be done.
so I'll wait for that.
To Suzanne's comment, I hear you, but I think I'm a little confused as to how we would ask a company, for example, the high bid in Cornish, New Hampshire, why their lump sum was $500.
I'm sorry, I miscommunicated in.
Yeah,
I think it would be helpful for someone in the town to analyze these bids when there is such a large discrepancy, to make sure that we're not that there's value, that we're not understanding bid compared to.
Well, in all fairness, the state did that. I mean,
Okay.
we sent the bids to the state,
Yeah.
they looked at the bids, they looked at everything about it. And I mean, they're the ones who really
Yeah,
have to
That's
give you
very
the proof, they're the ones who send you the bill,
yeah.
but they're gonna pay for
And they really have the expertise.
it. Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But on this one, they don't always look at all
Yeah,
of them, just this one because FEMA's involved, otherwise.
No,
it's just
no,
local.
no, we sent all the bids to the state,
No, for approval, no,
I think, to look at, not approval, but to look at.
No.
no, this one says FEMA.
I didn't feel comfortable looking at these and making a decision, so I sent it to Megan because she had helped me this whole time. I haven't been on many of these box culvert projects, so I can't speak for what's been done in the past, but I don't think I've sent the state.
Well, I was under the impression that when we have these bids for these culverts, the states gets a copy and they take a look at them.
No.
I could be
Well, we should do
incorrect,
that.
but
I think that's something we should also do.
it's a FEMA one? I mean, no, okay.
I'm confused now. Why? Because it's a FEMA project. Why is the state looking at it? Because of the FEMA project or something else?
So V-Trans helps us with everything really highway related, so if we have a technical question, for example, if the highway crew had a question about how, don't know, but how to do a ditch, they would come out and explain everything. So I reached out to them because they have a lot more knowledge on this than I do. And I just felt like it was only right to get their thoughts on it.
Most of the time you get a hydraulic study done on the culvert. And that's what you need to put in, and they give you what they want done.
That was done.
Yes, well, yes, it is required before you do anything. So you got it in the, when you get that, pretty much what needs to happen.
Right. And so we have a motion on the floor.
Just a
Do you have any more questions?
Thank you.
And so I'm gonna call the vote. We have one abstention, so all in favor of giving the, one of the bid to Jamie Gregory with the proviso that, install the correct culvert. Say aye.
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 I said that.
Aye. Have it?
Just don't like the whole thing. I'll say no.
Okay, and one abstention. Okay. All right. The next thing is we have to appoint an adjunct liaison. This is a requirement from the state, and Wilmington is telling you what that person does. This is something new.
So early December, Joe was emailed by Christina, the executive director of the State Ethics Commission, saying that this was something that we needed to do, and so I reached out and asked what the responsibilities were. And she said that it's essentially the point contact for the general information by the Ethics Commission. For example, if they send out a notification when their online municipal ethics training is available, the ethics liaison can then disperse that information to the municipal officials who are required to take the training. They also keep a documentation on any complaints that are filed and yeah, prior to receive and file complaints referred to by the Ethics Commission. So essentially the ethics liaison is the point of contact for the Ethics Commission if they have a complaint that needs to be referred, or if they have information to share with the municipality. Municipalities are generally appointing their town clerk, town manager, town attorney, town administrator to fill this role. However, it could be any municipal employee or select board member if the municipality has no employees.
So who do they recommend then?
She didn't recommend anybody, that's all she just explained the responsibilities and who. Just that town clerk, town manager, town attorney. Or some towns are listening, they're appointing.
Sounding like Marty.
I mean, I hate to add, yes, but
If
that's
it's,
right.
it's like,
Well, go ahead, Len.
Yeah, so I see in the legislation that there's, they're encouraging online, they're encouraging training. It's required for members of legislative bodies and quasi judicial bodies, which I'm assuming is easier. So is that part of what you've been told for, and there's like training?
I would assume so, she just said any information in regards to training. Any ethics training, so yeah.
I mean, logically, it should either be, I think, town administrator or clerk. But
So it can't be a townsperson.
No, it has to be a town employee. It could be if the select board didn't have any employees, but it is, so.
I want you to do is send out all of the emails and everything to the people, letting them know what training there is anyways.
I do,
I put it on.
I feel like it makes sense for it to be part of my role.
I mean,
You can also be the person who needs to take the training, right?
I mean, logically,
You would enforce it.
that's what it should be, but.
This is just, I am familiar with this in the state of Massachusetts, had to do it for years as a school teacher. You do an online, slideshow, you answer the questions, if you screw up, you go back and fix it. Have you guys done this before, or is this?
That's not quite what you're supposed to.
No, they do, they want you. They are, no, they do, they want you to go fix it, that is when you're supposed to.
Well, at least you go back and fix it.
That's learn from your mistakes. No, but so, is this the first exposure that we've had?
Yeah,
Okay,
it just was passed last year.
understood, thank you, appreciate the clarification.
Oh, yeah, I think we have to appoint somebody by the end of January.
That's right.
So does everybody agree that we should? We make a motion to have Morgan fill that slot?
How much time does she have to devote to training?
Oh my God. I imagine it's not much.
45 minutes?
Wendy said the training is 45 minutes, so I don't think it's cool.
So when have you done this?
No, I'm reading.
Oh.
Act 171, a hopeful, townsperson sent it to me. So, yeah, it's, we all have to take it, you all have to take it, it's not just her, she isn't. We found these, yeah.
Yeah, problem. Yeah, so it isn't past there.
So we make a motion to appoint. The town distributor to be the liaison here.
I'll make a motion that the ethics liaison.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Any other business?
I noticed in the budget that we're through 7 months and we have 5 left and we're over on the overtime by 10%. I don't know what we can do. Keep it somewhere near there or not, but. You're
I
right,
never
we're just
budgeted one thing and then you hired a fourth guy, so.
we're just trying to do into the water. There's various ways to control it.
I have pointed out to the guys, that if they want to, they can go home. After a storm, with their overtime. If there's things to do, then we do stay and work, which have been things to do every week. But I will not force them to go home. I mean, most of you are in bed while we're out in 4 o'clock in the morning or all night long plowing, and I mean, the guys have earned this time. But, I mean, we all go home when we don't have anything to do. If there's nothing to do at the shop or on the roads, then we do go home. But if we only come in and work when there's a storm to prevent no overtime, then, I mean, what's gonna happen with potholes or trees and brush on the side of the road, stuff like that, and,
Did you guys raise the overtime
I lowered it.
for the fourth guy coming on too?
No, we reduced it.
Well, how can you reduce it when,
Well, we figured the 4th man, you'll be taking time off.
It does.
And the overtime.
when
This is the way you're gonna control the overtime, then we should know it and increase the overtime.
I said that they wouldn't really go down, but I mean, we are coming in, instead of coming in at 4 o'clock in the morning to start salting and stuff. We've been coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning and we're getting done at the same time we did before, so we're an hour faster, about on average than we were before. I mean, and that's cuts back on the overtime, but you gotta think about also, the last month, we have not had a weekend off. And every morning we wake up and there's an inch of snow on the road, and it takes just as long to take that inch of snow off as it does take a foot of snow. So, I mean, what we could do is we could stop sanding, we could sand less, salt less. And plow less, but I mean, at the same time, then people are gonna be upset that the roads aren't in good shape, so. I mean,
well, it's like yesterday, we had to scrape off the turn again.
yeah, had no choice, can't sand on top of an inch of snow.
But we
Good.
lucked out, we didn't have to sand a lot because we scraped it, so we weren't there that long.
None of us wanna be at work at 4 o'clock in the morning, or none of us wanna be there on the weekend, but someone has to be. So, I mean, I understand that people are upset that the overtime's up, but at the same time, people are gonna be upset when they can't get to work or they crash their car because the road's icy, so.
Well, the question is, Kim, we still have time to redo the budget. So if that's gonna be an issue, then maybe we lower the overtime, maybe we should
It should
revisit
be at
that.
least what it was before, I mean, it didn't make sense to lower it.
I mean, that might be something we might, if that's what the board wants to do. Cause we do have that opportunity
Yeah, you
have to do it before, when is it, I think it's a couple more weeks, it's all over, right? Yeah, you can't change it,
After the 16th.
yeah, so
That's
we have to
10
do
days
16th of the
from
month, so.
Have you thought about with 4 guys? Shifting like
We do,
2 on, 2 off,
we do.
or 3 on, 1 off?
I believe it, right now it is on David and Lane, they are the ones on call right now for the next quick salting or. I mean, for a quick salting, is the only thing I can have 2 guys come in for. But other than that, I mean, you can't have 2 guys come in and sand on every road that we have, that makes no sense at all.
You take all day.
Yeah, take that, for 3 of us, to sand, it takes, what would you say, 4 or 5 hours? On average, to do everything, I mean. And the last 2 or 3 storms, I don't think we haven't sanded everything. I mean,
And it all depends on the storms, I mean, it's like my route, sometimes like this last storm, I go down the backside Fisher Hill, go to the game report, do that, come back and over and I'm done. So it's real fast, if it's a big storm, I gotta go down to Cambridge Port on the blacktop, and then I gotta go back down and then do Fisher Hill and then go over and do, you know, so it takes a while. It all depends on the storms.
we've been trying to hold back as much as we can, but
Well,
the weather, I can only permit, the weather, I can dance outside and pray that the snow don't come, but. It comes and there's nothing I can do about it, we have to come in and, I mean, people. And some people, you guys, I mean, this is Vermont, people should understand that snow comes and there's only one way to get rid of it.
well, the board should think about it, because, if you're gonna pay the overtime, it should be in the budget, and if that's. If we wanna put it back in, we can have an emergency meetings and then the budget to put down, you know, whatever the board feels, so. Why don't we think about this and let Morgan know, and I'll call a meeting if you think that that's something we wanna do.
Before the 16th.
Way before the 16th, because
Right.
when you change one figure out of the 22 pages I have done, I have to change all those pages and refigure everything that I've already done, but that's okay.
Well, I'm not saying you should do it, I'm just saying that that's.
Yeah.
I guess I would want Colby and the guys to re-envision your hours. Summer hours, winter hours.
That doesn't make a difference for us, And
Well,
most I
they
get,
have to in terms of
well,
budget.
and I get that, but a lot of the times it's nighttime that we're out, and I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really wanna start work at noon and work till 8 o'clock at night. But, I mean. I don't know what to tell you, I mean, starting at 6 o'clock in the morning is the best time for us to start. It's an hour, as of right now, it's about an hour before, or hour after, yeah, sorry. We've been coming in at 5 o'clock in the morning, so really. It's an hour overtime, and 90% of the time we have the storm cleaned up before the end of the day anyway. So we're going home before I do it, but. If there's nothing for the guys to do, then we go home. But. We've had trucks break down every week, we got one truck, been trying to get to ATG for a month now. And it's been falling apart every time we drive it, and we have to weld it back together every time we drive it. And so at the end of the day, you can't just park it and say, oh, come do it tomorrow morning, well, tomorrow morning, come to work and there's an inch of snow in there, our truck needs to go out. So,
When,
So a couple of meetings ago, I asked about the fourth crew member and what the rationale, thinking, financial, blah, blah, blah was about it. Was I misunderstanding that the fourth crew member was going to save the town money in the long run?
it's hour of storm.
But it doesn't change the bottom line, and it actually has made it higher. Is that what you're saying?
Not really, we go over overtime every year. For some reason we go over it every year, after we go over it every year.
So it's actually lower, okay.
We, on average, an hour, some storms better than an hour on the clock side, so. It is taking less, but a lot of the. Okay, but I had it. figured.
So is what you're asking is that they go out, do their plowing? I mean, this is something that my company does, and I tell you, it makes people some kind of ugly. I'm like, they don't wanna be there anymore. But, and I can see what you're saying, but, so you want these guys to go out, plow all night long, and then go home and not get overtime at all, is what you're saying?
I'm not saying that, I'm
Is
saying,
that what's gonna fix this, is what I'm saying?
Well, our personnel thing says we work from 6 to 2, so anything before and after that is overtime. So that's the hours that is in our.
Well, they want us, as soon as you get your 8 hours, to go home.
Yeah, but our personnel says we work 6 to 2.
I know.
So you guys get paid overtime even on, if you're not over 40, you get paid over the. So the storm.
I understand what you guys are saying, you know, we do not, I don't care to be there any longer than I have.
I think we were under the impression, I was anyway, if there was a fourth man, it was gonna help out with our overtime. Then I looked at this and I understand the storms, but instead of making excuses of that, I think we should look at ways to try to do this, so that we actually spend much overtime. I mean, there's ways in the winter time as far as sanding, we don't have to sand the whole road, we can sand the hills and the.
The policy says hills and corners.
And there's a lot of times we don't have to sand.
We can try, we can try.
We can try it, but I can promise the phone's gonna ring nonstop. People are gonna complain, which we've held back on our sand because our budget got cut for sand. So
You had plenty of sand without.
well, I know, I understand that, but I'm trying to make sure that we have enough, if there's, because we don't know where we're gonna get it yet, so I've been calling, figuring out where I'm gonna get it from, but that is besides the point. If the policy says hills and corners, we have to sand, at minimum. If you think about Grafton, hills and corners, that's every dirt road, that's all there is, we don't have a flat section, Port Road. Is the only road we have that's flat.
121 out here, but if you don't sand that,
It's ice every day, the cars pull the sand off it every other day.
I don't have to say. The 10 years I've worked here. This year, we have cut down on salt even more. And that's all I'm gonna say, and sand, I used to, because we got better sand than we've had in the past. And you can tell, because when I come back, usually I use a whole load, like going Fisher Hill. And Anderson Road, and I'll come back with some now. Because it's better sand, we're not using the sand that we used to use, because we do have better sand, so we have cut back, we do not.
You're talking about
Right.
time. though,
If
so
you- yeah,
how much
yeah.
time you gonna
If you
save
wanna
by
look-
not staying
You wanna look at another way to save money?
You know, because you're gonna be on the road.
Multiple times.
Correct.
Sorry. Another thing, the same with the money, it costs money for us to go out and all this stuff. For the amount of salt and salt that the last couple foremans have used. Compared to what we use now is less than an eighth of the salt that they all put out. We didn't even spend our whole budget last year on salt and I filled the shed back up at the end of the year. I mean. I can try anything you want me to try, but.
How are you gonna save you time on just to sand the corner, I mean, I guess you can do it one load, maybe.
You're still gonna be driving the same amount that you are. Just, if you go out and just do the hills and corners, you're still driving over the whole entire road that you gotta sand, so at that point, you might as well sand the whole entire.
We can try.
We can try it, we'll try it for the next couple storms, we'll cut back on everything and see what we can do. I'll try some new.
Also, though, Kobe, I think it depends, I mean, sometimes if you're gonna have a very wet snow. And then you get a freeze on it, you might have to put more sand in than have a very fluffy snow, and when you plow, you get rid of it, you're down to almost gravel again.
Well, that's what we did yesterday, Joe, we just
That's what I
plowed it,
mean.
we went out this morning, it was 121 was bad spot. We sanded that and Hinkley Brook and Salmon. That's the only road we had.
I'll try a couple new things, we'll see what we can do, but.
I mean, it depends on the weather, I mean, you have to make that call.
Well, no storm is the same, so.
And we do try, we do.
Are you trying to save sand or time, that's what I'm saying.
I said time.
Well, there's not,
Well, it will cost money, so whatever.
Right,
you
well, you
say.
wanna save all you can save, but you're worried about the time, you're not gonna save a lot of time by just saying.
The only way to save, time would be to not sand it,
You're not going at all.
but.
Can't not say that.
For me,
Well, that's what I'm saying, it's hard to, I don't know where you want me to find the time to save, I mean, we're faster than we were before, we're using less material than we were before. we'll try some new things and. I mean, $7,000, isn't that what's the kind of budget is, $10,000 for 4 months, we'll say. Of working every weekend and every night, it's kind of hard to make that work. And, I mean, I don't know, that's all I gotta say. I'll try some new things, and I'll see what I can do, but.
okay. Any public comment? Go ahead.
Just want to say, I think the highway department puts everybody else to shame.
Thank you.
No, the roads, other roads are much better.
Well,
Well, I go to 3 towns, and every time I go out, we're the first ones out, usually on every road.
Yep.
And our roads are bare, and I don't know, you gotta decide what you want.
On good roads, or you want less time?
Wendy?
I just want to change the topic, I was gonna bring this up at the last meeting, but, the school. Has the select board talked at all or had any thoughts about what might happen, what might be happening with the school?
Well, I was the board, and I know a couple of them that talked to Hardy. And Hardy is saying it's a little premature to begin to think, but I think you have to, we're gonna have to face some issue coming down the pike. You know, a lot's gonna depend what the legislature has done now, and, you know, it's not only Grafton, everybody is suffering. And I don't, but I don't know if anybody has listened to what Wyndham got hammered with the school tax and the reappointment, or reevaluation assessment.
Who did?
Wyndham.
Win.
And it's, I mean, there was one lady there who was paying $3,000, now she's paying $7,500, and that's what happened in Wyndham, so, yeah, Wendy, I think everybody on the board is aware that there's something's gonna have to happen over the next couple of years with the schools, so. But I
I mean,
think
and I watched the last meeting, and I understand you're a full-time nurse and she was very impassioned and talked for 17 minutes about how important it is to have a full-time nurse. But I can't help but think that it's not great for there to be only 33 kids and socially. It doesn't sound healthy to me, that's just my own personal opinion. I don't know about the American Academy of Pediatrics like she quoted, but I just can't believe that it's healthy for the school to be like.
It's not sustainable,
No, and it's not sustainable.
and that's what I was trying to point out. And that didn't go very far, did
You know,
it?
I understand that.
but I think the problem will kind of bring itself to the head, just
Not a couple of years.
by just what's gonna happen, because the whole state is in the same boat as we are. And I think, you know, I think you have to be aware that there's gonna be some changes. What that means, I have no idea.
I think it's important to notice too that all the schools are shrinking in our area, not just Grafton. So it's on everyone's agenda.
Any other public comment? If not, the next regular meeting is January 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. here. And hopefully we can get the town attorney, we do the, look at the road. Or